Karen's laugh was a hyena's cackle, sharp enough to curdle milk. She stood by the wreckage of my wife's cherry-red convertible, acting like she owned the street. The car, my wife Lila's pride and joy, was a mangled heap, its front end kissing a lamppost like a drunk at a bad party. Karen, the HOA's self-appointed queen, had no business behind that wheel. Yet there she was, 300 pounds of entitlement, blaming us for her joyride gone wrong. It started with a petty HOA meeting 3 weeks ago. Lila and I, new to the neighborhood, had parked our convertible a half-inch over the line of our driveway. Karen, the HOA president, waddled over with her clipboard, her beady eyes gleaming with the thrill of catching us in the act. "This is a violation," she'd spat, jabbing a sausage-like finger at the car. "I'll have it towed if you don't move it by tomorrow." Lila, ever the peacemaker, apologized and adjusted the car. I wanted to tell Karen to shove her clipboard where the sun didn't shine, but Lila's hand on my arm kept me quiet. Karen wasn't just a busybody. She was a bully. She'd fine people for untrimmed hedges, report kids for chalk drawings, and once tried to ban Mrs. Nguyen's herb garden for aesthetic violations. Everyone in the cul-de-sac hated her, but nobody had the guts to stand up to her. She thrived on control, her smug grin a constant reminder that she held the neighborhood in her chubby fist. Then came the night of the crash. Lila and I were at a friend's dinner party when my phone buzzed with a neighbor's text, "Your car's gone." Karen was seen driving it. My heart sank. Lila's convertible wasn't just a car, it was her dream, bought with years of savings from her teaching job. We rushed home to find chaos, police lights flashing, neighbors gawking, and Karen screaming at an officer. It's their fault for leaving the keys in it. The story unraveled fast. Karen, in a fit of spite after we'd ignored her latest HOA fine for excessive porch plants, had spotted the spare key Lila kept in a magnetic box under the car. She'd decided to teach us a lesson by taking the convertible for a spin. Never mind that she hadn't driven a stick shift in decades. She'd barely made it 2 blocks before misjudging a turn and slamming into the lamppost. The car was totaled. The airbag's the only thing saving her from worse. Lila was in tears, her hands shaking as she stared at the wreckage. I was livid, ready to lunge at Karen. But Officer Daniel stepped in. "Ma'am," he said to Karen, "you're admitting to taking a car that's not yours." Karen's face twisted into a scowl. "They practically begged me to take it, leaving it unlocked like that. I was doing them a favor, testing it for safety." The crowd murmured, some laughing at the absurdity. Karen's logic was a circus act, and she was the clown. The next day, we got a letter. Karen was suing us for emotional distress and physical injuries from the crash she caused. The gall was staggering. She claimed the car's faulty brakes made her crash and that we were negligent for leaving the keys accessible. Lila was crushed, worried we'd lose everything in court. I wasn't so sure. Our neighbor, Tim, a quiet guy with a knack for tech, had a security camera pointed at our driveway. "I've got the footage," he whispered to me. "Karen's done for." The court date came a month later. Karen waddled into the courtroom, dressed in a garish floral muumuu, her neck brace a theatrical prop. She played the victim like an Oscar contender, dabbing fake tears as she spun her tale of being forced to drive our car to protect the neighborhood. Her lawyer, a greasy type who looked like he'd sell his own kids for a commission, backed her up with jargon about implied consent and negligent entrustment. Lila and I sat on the other side. Our lawyer, Sarah, calm but sharp, She'd seen the footage. Tim provided a crystal-clear video of Karen sneaking into our driveway at dusk, fishing out the key, and cackling as she squeezed into the driver's seat. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with steel-gray hair, leaned forward when Sarah introduced the evidence. "Let's see this video," she said, her tone skeptical. The courtroom projector flickered to life. There was Karen, clear as day, looking around like a cartoon villain before snatching the key. The footage cut to her peeling out of our driveway, the car lurching as she fumbled the gears. The crowd in the courtroom stifled laughs. Karen's face turned tomato red, her neck brace suddenly looking like a bad costume choice. "That's not me," she blurted. But the judge shot her a look that could freeze lava. Sarah didn't stop there. She called Tim to testify about his camera's reliability. Then Officer Daniels, who recounted Karen's absurd claims at the scene. The final nail was Lila's testimony. She spoke quietly, her voice breaking as she described what the car meant to her freedom. Pride. A reward for years of hard work. The room went silent. Even Karen's lawyer shifting uncomfortably. When it was Karen's turn, she doubled down. "They're lying," she screeched, pointing at us. "They set me up. That car was a death trap." The judge wasn't having it. "Ms. Thompson," she said, "you stole a vehicle, crashed it, and now you're suing the victims. This court doesn't entertain fairy tales." Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. For once, she was speechless. The ruling was swift. Karen was ordered to pay for the car's full value, plus court costs and punitive damages for egregious misconduct. The judge also referred her case to the DA for potential criminal charges. Grand theft auto wasn't a good look. As we left the courtroom, Karen's wails echoed behind us, a mix of rage and humiliation. The neighbors waiting outside clapped for us, Tim giving a shy thumbs up. But the story didn't end there. Word spread fast. The HOA held an emergency meeting, and Karen was ousted as president. Her reign of terror over. The neighborhood felt lighter, like a storm had passed. Lila and I used the settlement to buy a new car, no, a convertible, but a sturdy SUV we both loved. We even threw a block party to celebrate, with Mrs. Nguyen's herb garden as the centerpiece. A quiet middle finger to Karen's rules. Karen moved away a month later. Her house sold to a young family who actually smiled at us. Rumors swirled that she'd tried her antics in another town, only to get slapped with a restraining order. I didn't care to verify. Karma had done its job. Lila and I learned something through it all. People like Karen thrive on fear, but they crumble when you shine a light on their nonsense. The footage didn't just save us in court. It reminded us that truth has a way of catching up. We drove our new SUV past the old lamppost the other day, its dented base a quiet monument to Karen's downfall. Lila squeezed my hand and smiled. "Worth it," she said,